All right, y'all. So this particular day, me and Clarence was at the house together. And out of nowhere, like, we had these stairs that, okay, how can I put it? Here's the kitchen. The side door to go come in the house. You come in, and then there's some stairs to go downstairs to, like, the basement, to the den. And then there's some 2 stairs to go up to the kitchen. So you can either stand right here, and then someone can stand right here in the kitchen. So he's like this and like that. And then he's like, oh, you going to tell me bye. And it was just weird because I'm like, my uncle never asked for, like, a hug or anything to say goodbye. It was just weird. So I give him a hug, and so I'm like, keep in mind, this is him and this is me. So that means I had to lean down. He literally picked me up, and his hand was on my behind. I kid you not. And immediately in my spirit, and I was in my, junior? This is after I got reclassified as a junior. As a second semester junior. Or second semester junior, something like that. So, of course, like, I was already at age, I already knew, okay, this is inappropriate. And I was like, okay, walking away from him. And then I was walking, no, before that, hold on, let me rewind. No, we were in the, like, he asked me for something, asked me for help, and it was in their bedroom. And then he was, like, doing, like, something, like, playing with me, like, play wrestling. Because every now and then he would do that, like, with me, Andre, his son Andre, or his daughter Clarissa, like, just play around. Like, they think nothing of it. But this particular situation, like, somehow he, like, not body slamming, but I ended up falling on the bed, but he was under me. So I had to, like, immediately I got off, like, real quick. And it was just like, this area was near him. And I was like, It was just awkward as hell. And I'm like, this is inappropriate. So it was just awkward. So after that, I would say 15 minutes later, that's when he was about to leave. And he was a DJ. I think he still DJs. I don't know. So I don't know if he was going to a gig, but it was for some reason we were there together by ourselves. And he was saying something. And he was like, all right, I'm about to head out. And then he was like, bye. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then he was like, can I get a hug? So, but then that's when he picked me up. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't it. And I'm telling you, y'all can ask Jerron himself. I called him immediately and I told him what happened. And he wanted to come to the house. He wanted to beat the man up. He wanted to beat my uncle up at the time. Because when I tell you he was my high school sweetheart, was my outlet, I mean, literally, so it's like the stuff that my aunt and them, the pictures they tried to paint, I definitely told. Like, I told him a lot. Okay? And I thank God I did, because it's moments like this where people, like, if they had to testify, if they had to speak up on your behalf, they'd be like, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, again, like, people who know me, especially those of you who are on the side of my voice who's been following me for a few months or years, y'all know I'm going to keep it 1,000, because everything I share, it comes to pass. Everything I have shared, you have found out that it's true. So what the hell do I look like sitting here lying to y'all and blaming and putting something on somebody's name? Because I know what it's like to have defamation done to them. So why would I do that to somebody else? No, I wouldn't do that. See, I can sue them, but they can't sue me. Because I got proof. And the last thing they want to do is go to court, because I got receipts. I got proof. I'm like, come on. And I don't mind taking a lie detector test. Don't mind at all. Try me. But anyways, so that happened, and I told about that. But now I'm going to rewind to my father's younger brother, Daniel Glenn. This situation, you would think my uncles and aunts, they would like, okay, Steven and Erica, they don't have their father. He's no longer with them. We're going to step in. We're going to make sure his kids is good. So, with his brothers, you would think like, okay, her father ain't around, so I'm going to step in and try to be a father figure. So this particular uncle, like, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to take you get some gym shoes, like, before back to school shopping, get you some shoes. So, I literally had to chase Uncle down, like, because we never really had that one-on-one time hanging out with Uncle. I'm like, that's cool. That would be cool. I remember that once we finally were able to go get me some gym shoes, it was just inappropriate stuff going on. Like, we were driving, and he was like, he actually asked me, I kid you not, I'm not lying, right hand on the Bible. I'm in my Airbnb right now, but I don't see nobody. But no, seriously, I put this. God knows, I'm not sitting here lying. He asked me if I had a crush on him. I was just like, no. I'm thinking of like, it was just weird. And then he actually had the audacity to ask me to take naked pictures of myself, but make sure I cut out my head and just send him the pictures of my body. That was the last time I did a one-on-one with him. That was the last time. But guess what? At the time, me and my high school sweetheart weren't together. Nobody knows this. Y'all are the first to hear. He didn't want, and then not only that, the attacks, a lot of attacks I'm experiencing, it's not just my older brother. Daniel's part of it too. But Janice is the ringleader. So it's just like any way to silence me. Like Janice didn't want the stuff that I share with y'all. And then the stuff about the Clarence. All these people are like looking for ways to silence me. I'm like, look here, man. God's time is perfect. God's time is perfect. So it's just like from the babysitter to the Uncle Clarence to Uncle Daniel to my brother. All these inappropriate things that's taking place with people that's supposed to be protecting kids. Freaking predators. And y'all can do jail time. God forbid. And I'm just thinking about other family members that they actually got successful with. Like, because everyone's not vocal like me. And I try not to think about it, but I'm thinking about boys and girls in my family, or men and women in my family, that they actually was successful, meaning they went all the way. They did it more than once, and they never said anything, and they thought, if I say something, nobody in the family is going to believe me. That's what really pisses me off the most. That these individuals on either side of the family are dying silently, holding these secrets. So, speeding it up. There was a time where I had to speed it up. I ended up graduating high school, getting out of my brother's house. Like when I was living with my older brother, I was able to get everything switched around, got Social Security back up and running. And while I was there, I was only receiving $500 some a month. My older brother, he was married to his first wife at the time. They had a daughter. Then they were living. It wasn't their house. They were living with her foster mom, foster mom's house, and her brother was there. And her two foster sons. So she had two foster sons. So she was getting money for these boys. And then they had a dog. So this house was full. I had to stay in the basement that flooded sometimes. And they had a pool table that was cemented to the floor with a bar. So it was one of those basements. It wasn't like a live-in basement. So I had to make do. Like it was a bench down there while I slept on. So that was a space. But kid you not, I only received $500 a month. That house, that means it was more than one income coming in the house. Do you know they were taking $300 and some out of that and left me with $200 a month, saying they were using that towards food, and I barely even ate anything there? And when when me and my high school sweetheart reconnected, me and his mom was always in communication. And I told her what was going on. She was pissed off. She says that's theft. Like they're taking all your money. Like that's too much. They were taking $300. So it was like, again, my older brother came up with this. I feel in my spirit, he's the one who came up with that total. He claims it was the mom whose house it was. No. Anyway, he was jealous that I was still receiving inheriting money that was owed to me. Are y'all following? Now, am I painting the picture now? So it was like, any way you could get, he was always looking for the upper hand. Always looking for the upper hand. Trying to mess with my innocence. Now trying to mess with my finances. Okay. So I was like, okay, so I finished up my high school, eventually got out of there. Also determined to go to college. I was like, okay. I just knew I had to get out of that house. So I ended up I wanted to go to Western Illinois University. And Macomb, Illinois. That was the school I had my eyes on, but due to the credits, I didn't get accepted, but I ended up going to a community college, but I didn't know how to do the financial aid correctly. So when I was there, they kept sending me back and forth. They'd be like, hey, we need this documentation from your mom. We need proof that your father's deceased, blah, blah, blah. It was just so much crap going on. So eventually, that's when my high school sweetheart mom stepped into the picture, and I shared everything with her. Her and her daughter, a lot of his family didn't even realize that I finished up with high school. They thought I was just getting my GED, but I shared with them, like, no, I enrolled myself in the high school in my brother's district, and I finished up. Like, they didn't know. Like, they just couldn't tell I was in high school still. So I shared everything with them, and then I was telling them what I was going through when it came down to this community college, about how it's just like, I don't know what's going on. And then that's when his mom, in February of 2007, February 2008, because it's like 06, yeah, February 2007. Yeah. That's when she was like, you could just come and live, like, just think about it. Come live here, and I'll help you enroll in college the right way. I'll help you with the whole thing, my financial aid and all that. So that's what happened with that. February 12th, 2007 is when I moved in with him. It was like 2 days before Valentine's Day. It's like, I'm something about dates. So her daughter came down on a train to Macomb, Illinois to help me move my stuff back to the south suburbs of Chicago. And that's when I ended up staying with my high school sweetheart's mom. He was at Jackson State, Mississippi. So he wasn't in the same house. We weren't under the same roof. I was just staying with his mom, his grandfather who was still alive, his uncle who stayed there, and his sister. So it was room for me and everything. So I was like on and off. Like his mom, I believe, was in his room. Yes, and I was downstairs, like in the area with his sister and all that. So they took me in, and I was there with them for years. Like when I went to college, I finally got enrolled in Lincoln College. They were at my graduation, so it was just like on break, came back home. That was home, you know. And every now and then I go see family, but that was home, you know. So it's just like, hey, when I say family ain't gotta be blood, I mean that. So they were good to me. They were good to me, but it was just like now, like where we are now today, it's kind of disheartening knowing what I know of how many of them got persuaded in a negative way, unfortunately. So basically, all that to say is like I graduated, got all that together, and just speeding up. So I just wanted to make sure I painted that picture and gave the truth about Janice, about Steven, you know, my older brother, how the inappropriate touching, how he was always out for me and everything. How my father's siblings, how they were all, you know, majority of them were after me and different things, just doing different things because of the destiny of my life and the inheritance that was left to me. And because of an occult, because of witchcraft, because the ringleader out of all of them is Janice Glenn, the oldest sister. Always got to be in control. Always, like for prom, like when she did allow me to go to prom, itinerary of everything. Like at this time, y'all leaving prom. Get in the limousine at this time. Be at the restaurant at this time. Leave the restaurant at this time. Like she literally gave us a boom, boom, boom. Just a control freak. If she wasn't in control, she got jealous. She felt like she was a superior. Like when it came down to her younger sister working for the same company, Leadership Greater of Chicago, downtown Chicago. Both of them were there for years. Janice had a superior position, and my aunt Latanya, she was a receptionist. And both of these are my father's sisters, okay? They were working together at the same place. When my aunt Latanya had friends that my aunt Janice didn't know about, she was jealous of that. She was like, where do you know them from? Like, she just felt like there was no way Tanya could have friends that she didn't know. Like, she just felt like anybody that Tanya knew had to come through her. That's how jealous she was. And then after the boss that they had, David, he was a nice man. He passed away. Then they got a new manager. This Janice got her sister Tanya fired. Keep in mind, they both were at this company for years. So Tanya had to find a new job. Just evil for no reason. Just evil as hell. Evil as hell. Evil. So, all that took place. The speed back up. Graduated from college and everything. Back and forth. From south suburbs to my high school sweetheart's mom's Jackie house. Back and forth. Then eventually speeding it up. You know, getting my bachelor's degree. Finishing up in Central Illinois. And then finding a church. And this is when I went to corporate America. You know, things were going well. And while I was at this church, I would say what I loved about it, they had a program called 100% Change. So I went through that program. And this program was for women. And the pastor's wife gave birth to it in, I would say April 2009. I got there in July 2011. So I think she said April 2009. And every year they would have all the women submit applications, and then they would pray over okay, who do we want to choose? And they would normally choose 12. In my particular group, it was 10 of us. And you would go through this program 10 weeks. And you would deal with spiritual things, natural, emotional, psychological, all that. Get into the root of issues. Meaning you got to be real with yourself. If you really want to be healed and delivered, you got to be real with yourself. So the first assignment they gave us, what I loved was, I'm not going to disclose everything because that's our program, but let's just say a face mask, okay? And before you get that mask, you got to do a survey, and you have to answer these, I'm talking about personal, detailed questions and be real with these questions. And based on your answers, those are the terms you would write on your mask. So say if you were dealing with, okay, a fear to speak up and worried about how people see you, all that. That's connected to rejection, right? So based on those questions, if you're honest with them, more than likely the term that's going to pop up is rejection. So you write rejection on my mask. Make sense? So that first assignment was where we all wore masks and we were looking at each other. But when we were looking at each other, we seen each other's issues. And based on what we written on our masks, those were the things that we had to work on in the program. I'm about to go to part 5.